Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Beyond the Surface with Sharen. It's my first podcast, so I'm excited to have you all here. I'm going to kind of wait a little bit and let some people join. But this is episode 1 of Beyond the Surface with Sharen. I'm happy to have everyone here with me. Thank you all for joining and supporting. This has been like an amazing journey of faith over fear. So I appreciate you all joining and coming on. So we have Reverend Nikki is our special guest. So we'll bring her on in a little bit, but I'll wait for a couple more people to come on. So my podcast was really like a journey of faith over fear. I was kind of like a little nervous about finding out what my niche was, my thing. And I did, like, you talk to your friends and you're the person they go to and talk to and go for advice. And I've just been listening to the Lord, and here I am operating in my gift. So thank you all again for tuning in and joining and supporting and sharing. Shout out to Kelly Mobley Photography for my amazing pictures. She did such a great job. So if you guys are looking for pictures for either your family or your friends or your business, she does headshots. She'll do family pictures. She is Kelly Mobley at Kelly Mobley Studios. I'll link her in the comments for you guys, so you guys can go check out her business. But we have the amazing Reverend Nikki here. So she is going to be our first guest. So we will bring her on. Hey, Reverend Nikki.
Hey, how are you?
Great to be here and great to have you.
Yes, thank you. I am so honored to be here, to be your first guest. I'm so super proud of you. This is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I just want to let you know that you have poured into me for so many years, just from, the outside in, and just watching your walk and watching your gifts and being under your gifts, and just knowing that there is greater in me than what I was operating in. So I so appreciate you. I so love you. I so love your ministry. Every time you are anywhere, I'm like sharing, commenting, pushing, sharing, ignite all over. Ignite is where it's at. So even just, you birthing that ministry, I just really appreciate you empowering women.
Thank you so much for that. I we have been in each other's space for many years. And yes. I think to see each other just begin to grow and evolve. And while we were backstage, we were joking around, but this was a true comment that when I saw you put this out, it was like, of course.
Of course
she could do this. Of course.
Because it makes sense, right?
Yes, like this is totally you. And I'm so godly proud of you taking this leap of faith, not just for you, but for every woman that is attached to you, who is watching you, who's been a part of your journey, whether it be physically, whether it be with your family, whether it be when you guys, you and Brother Ron take trips, and we're taking trips with you virtually in our minds and hearts, wishing we were there with you. I'm excited about what God is doing in your life.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on, because I had a list of people and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a little nervous. And you're like, I got you for whatever you need. And you said that for years. Yep. And I was like, and as people know, Reverend Nikki tours the country.
Yeah.
The country doing like women's conferences and speaking. And she's a life coach. So she is sought after. So for her to say yes to come on and be my first podcast, it was just an amazing feeling for me that you are still amongst the people. You are still, you are getting flued out.
Flued out. I'm getting flued out.
Yeah, you go out to conferences all over the nation. You're in Kentucky, you were in Kentucky, and you're in Texas, and here in Michigan, and all over. So I appreciate
God
you
bless you.
from your house
Oh,
being
thank
here.
you. Yes. Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much again for just allowing me to come on and be your first guest. I am absolutely honored. So let's go.
Okay, so I wanted to give you guys like a little background on Reverend Nikki. So Reverend Nikki is a life strategist and a leader. Her one mission in life is to empower women to break through their limitations, discover their greatness, and become more. To date, hundreds of women have experienced a life change through the effectiveness of Nikki's empowerment strategies, life coaching principles, motivational speaking, and seminars. For more than 15 years, Nikki has inspired women to transition out of their limited thinking into progressive living. Nikki is a master's level counselor, certified life coach, ordained minister, and the author of There Is More: 8 Steps to Embracing the Greater You and Audacity. Y'all get the book? I have the book. Go look for it. She is the founder and host of the Ignite Women's Empowerment Summit that I talk so much about, which is a 3-day annual event that draws hundreds of women from all over the region. It will be in Baltimore this year, November. Baltimore, at the Baltimore Convention Center. She
Yes.
is a native of New Jersey, but she currently resides in North Carolina. She is married to Harold for 27 years, and she has
Yay.
a daughter and a beautiful grandson.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Reverend Nikki, how do you balance
Whew.
all of that? The traveling, the husband, the career, the
We gonna start with that? Okay.
balance that. I mean, because there is cooking, there's cleaning, there's house.
Yes.
Like, you know, you have
Yeah.
wifely duties, then you're still like a mom, and now you have
Grandma.
your grandson. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's always one of those questions, right? Like, I think number one, when you first start to think about balance and how do I balance everything, you start
Mhm.
looking outward at everybody else, which is a mistake. Let's start there.
Okay.
Balance is extremely subjective. Balance is something that is really defined by, first of all, let me tell you what balance is not. Balance is not all
Okay.
things equal.
Okay.
It
Okay.
is
Let's
not
start
all
there.
things equal. You're not going to divide up your 24 hours in equal increments of time. It just doesn't work that way. So don't bother trying to do that. Don't bother trying to, figure out that I got this much and I got to do all of this. Balance is really based on the needs of
Mhm.
the people around you and the one thing that we always leave out, which is ourself.
Right.
Self-care. How do
Yeah.
we really balance, our own self within this? And it's still a challenge for me. If I could just be honest, we're talking about
Okay.
beyond the surface, right?
Yes.
I fail in self-care. Just literally a few days ago, I flatlined. I got listen, the weekend after Sunday, Monday, I just could not get myself together. Like
Mhm.
my creativity, my energy was really low. I take vitamins and I'm not going to say for once in my life, but I will say it's been a long time since I gave myself permission Monday to just get in the bed and do nothing.
Wow.
And I've got a ton of things to do. And you battle between time and, oh my God, I'm losing time versus
Right.
if I don't recharge, right? And so part of this balance is this idea of what do I need? What do the people around me need? What is my assignment? Oftentimes we get out of balance because we are choosing and walking in assignments that we are not ordained for in this season.
Hello. Come on.
We're taking on people, their burdens, their baggage that we are
Right.
not assigned to in this season. And here's the problem. The problem is I'm gifted to do it. I could do it,
Right.
but I'm not being assigned to do it.
Wait. So how can we figure out we're
Yes.
gifted?
Yes.
We can do it, But
Yes.
how do we not do the assignment? Because we're
Right.
capable of it.
Because we're capable of it. So let's just talk about it. At the top of the year, just about every single one of us, we're like, okay, this is what I want to see happen. For
Right.
the most part, for the most part, those goals in our dream book, our journal, even if it's not in your journal, just in your mind, most of the time, those goals are for you, right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, very rarely. I'm not going to say women don't do it, but very rarely do we come into the year and it's like, I just want to be everything to everybody and give everybody what. We don't do that. We come
At
in
all.
like, okay, I want to lose weight. I really
Yes.
want to try to get my business. I want to get back on track with. We're writing down our personal goals. But
Correct.
by the time April comes,
February sometimes.
February, by the time February comes, that's gone out of the window.
Right.
Why? Because we are now taking on ownership of other things. Some things we feel led to do, other things we feel guilted into doing. And I say go back
That's good.
to the part of you at the top of the year or mid year where you stop to say, what do I want?
Right.
And for those that are watching and you have the gift of helps. This is
Mm-hmm.
the person, they have the most struggle with this because it feels very selfish. It feels very self-centered to go into what do I want, right?
Right.
The reality is if you tap into your core of what you want, what you desire, it will always lead to somebody else.
And that's true. That's just nature.
It's just nature. We none of us, if we're truly tapped into a level of purpose for ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
who are wanting God, who we want God for us or God to be in us, at the end of the day, my purpose is always other centered.
Right.
And
Because
so
there's
you
always
got to go
somebody to
back.
help.
Exactly. But I have to go back to that part of me of what do I believe God is calling me to in this season, in the year of 2024? And you start with what do I desire? Bible says, I will give you the desires of your
Of your
heart. You
heart.
know what that means? It doesn't mean that anything I ask God for, he's my genie in a bottle and he says, yes,
Right.
absolutely, I'll give it to you.
Right.
What I believe it means is he puts the desire in us to teach us how to pray and what to pray for.
Wow.
Never be afraid to go after what you desire because oftentimes your desire leads to your destiny. So
Ah,
what do you want in this season? And is helping Big Mama and them a part of that?
because it might not be,
It may not be.
but you're capable of doing it, but it might not be where your purpose leads.
Exactly. And we know as women what drains us.
Right.
We're very clear on it. We are clear because we're frustrated by the end of the day. We're
Mm-hmm.
frustrated by the end of the week. We're snapping at everybody. We're
Right.
mean. We're biting folk in the back.
Right.
Because we're drained. We didn't gauge everybody. And we're saying nobody better not call me. Well, right there, sis, right there, you've lost balance. And the reason you've lost balance is because you have taken on assignments,
Mm-hmm.
have adopted people's burdens, even if it's during that week that maybe you shouldn't have. And so no is still a complete sentence.
Let them know. No, no, thank you. Not
So
available.
exactly. So when you ask about balance, how do you balance it all? It's learning to say no to this so I can say yes to that.
Because you can say no to other people and yes to yourself.
Absolutely. Or you say no to other people and yes to time to finish writing my book.
Yes, I love that.
No to taking on the assignment of can you pick up so and so every Tuesday? Well, no, because Tuesday is my gym day and I promised myself I was going to get these 10 pounds off.
Right, right, right.
You see what I mean? So that's balance is really understanding what is the assignment in my life. What do I need? What's needed of me? And learning how to navigate that. And some days you're going to feel great, like, man, you go to bed and you feel like, man, I have completed. And other days you're
Ah,
not. It doesn't
you've
mean you're not in
accomplished something.
balance.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
what about if you are using your gifts at somewhere else and you're not using them for yourself. Like you are using, if you're a writer or if you are a musician or if you're like, you know what I mean? If you have those types of gifts and you are using them for a different business, but you're not tapping into your own for your own purpose and what God gives you. Like, how do
Well,
you
I
shift that?
think the reality is everything is about timing. Is
Mm-hmm.
God calling you at this time to write your own book?
Right.
Is God calling you at this time to, go out on your own? Not everybody's an entrepreneur.
Right.
Not everybody's being called to do that. And so, whatever gift you're using, you're not necessarily using it for yourself. You're still using it to bless somebody else, to bless
Mm-hmm.
another organization, to, empower, inspire, to build somebody else's thing. Right.
Right.
And so, even if you're doing it for you, it's your own, you're writing songs for you, it's still going to bless somebody else. So, I think part of this is, again, going back to understanding the assignment. What is the assignment in my life for this season? And what's keeping me from it? This is why I
Right.
love you doing
Yes.
this podcast, because this is it. Like you said, this has been in me for years.
Yes, it
I
has.
got to get over the fear of it.
Right. Because fear is literally crippling.
Yeah.
It will stifle our dreams, our goals for a while if we don't get past it. So how can we literally like, okay, I'm scared to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah. You know, I so I have I grew up in church, and the first years of my life we were taught God is not giving you a spirit of fear,
Yes. Love,
right?
power,
And so
sound mind.
right, that's right. So we quote that, right? We rebuke the spirit of fear. And guess what I found out one day? I was rebuking the spirit of fear and it didn't go nowhere. I'm praying and that spirit is like, nope, still here,
Nope.
you know.
Right. Right.
And so, number one, don't fight your fears.
Wow, that's good.
Do not fight your fears. Number one, there's something that I say in my book. It's in Audacity. I say, find out where fear lives and move next door to it.
Ooh.
And what I mean by that is we tend to run from our fears. We don't investigate. We don't get close to the fear and close up to it. Because of course, if we did, we know it's false evidence appearing real, right?
Right.
But we don't take out that time oftentimes. Oftentimes we just say, oh, I'm afraid. I don't want to do it. No, find out what it is you're afraid of. And sometimes the thing you're afraid of is real.
Right.
It's sometimes it's real. And fear, I'm coming from a therapeutic standpoint. Fear is your body's natural response to
Mm-hmm.
something that is out of your comfort zone that feels dangerous. Destiny is dangerous.
It is. It is.
It is. Come on, let's just say what it is. Destiny feels
Destiny is
dangerous.
feels dangerous.
You're doing something that nobody around you is doing.
Right.
You're doing something that nobody saw you doing. You're stepping into
That's good.
something with no money, no resources. Can it fail? Yeah, it could. That's
Mm-hmm.
real. And so, yes, you're going to be afraid, right? So
Right.
don't fight the fear. Acknowledge it. Embrace it.
Move next door to it.
Move next door to it. Buy a house next door to
Right.
it. So come on, fear. Let's talk about this. Get acquainted with your fear, because the more you know what is driving the fear, the more
Mm-hmm.
you know what's shaping the fear, the more you can challenge it. The more you can say, okay, yes, I'm afraid, but you know what? I've been afraid before. I live next door to
Right.
you. I live next door to fear.
And so does us addressing the fear that therein lies where our dreams are and our visions because we're running from that?
That's it. And that's it. Because what you have to do, and this is me coming from having done therapy work with women, having had to work out my own years of fear.
Now, what were you afraid of?
Everything. I was a scary child. True story. Everything. Everything. I find it very comical that God would have me write a book about courage.
Ah.
I was afraid of everything. I cried about everything as a child. I mean, you looked at me wrong, I just
Right.
melted into tears. True story. I was afraid of everything. And I guess the biggest thing was failure and the fear of, not doing it right. And so
Right.
anything that kept me in a good comfort zone and space. And
Mm-hmm.
then comes a point where you're tired of what fear produces.
Yes.
Fear produces the same lifestyle, the same results,
Yep.
hanging with the same people, doing the same thing. And there comes a point, and I believe this, when God starts to agitate and challenge within us the potential that we have
Mm-hmm.
not tapped into yet.
Right.
And it's almost like that time when you feel like God's trying to get you saved, right? You
Right.
just
You're
have this
restless.
restless. You can't explain it. You go to the club and you're like, the song ain't hitting like it.
Mm-hmm.
You drink it, it just don't taste like. All of a sudden it's almost like God is starting to come and
Right.
collect what he's put in you.
Right.
And so that's when your fear really starts to show up and really becomes real. And so you have to begin to challenge that. What am I afraid of? Ask
Mm-hmm.
yourself the question, what am I afraid of? And go all the way to the cliff. Well, I'm afraid that if I start this podcast, no one's going to watch. Okay. Well, how many people is no one?
Zero. Zero.
And what makes you think that that would happen? And so you got to keep asking yourself, how many
Right.
people is no one?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that? Do you know anyone where it didn't happen? Well, have you ever tried it? And so you've got to start to challenge the
Yeah.
fear and ask real questions. I never forget when, you know, you saw me at Bethany and I would get up to speak. I would be standing on that side. They get ready to hand me the mic, and I am literally wanting to melt into a pool. I'm terrified.
No.
Yes. Thousands of people. I'm terrified. My heart, like and my
Mm-hmm.
fear would prevent me from really being the Nikki I knew I could be in the moment.
Right.
And the fear was, oh, well, if I get up there and I'm not boisterous enough or loud enough, no one. You see, we start using these large words and this
Mm-hmm.
overgeneralization. No one's going to be blessed, or no one. So now here's where you challenge the fear. So you're
Okay.
telling me in this one moment,
Right.
challenge it. Ask yourself, so are you saying that if you get up there and you don't do A, B, C, and D, that your
Mm-hmm.
whole calling is canceled?
Everything.
Everything's done. Nobody's going to want you ever again.
Off
You're
of
never
one
going to,
moment.
right? God is even going to cancel you. Really? Who do you know has that ever happened to? So you're
Well,
going to
no
be
one
the
that
first.
I know.
Exactly. And so that's how you challenge that fear. You
Okay.
start asking yourself, go next door to fear and ask the hard questions. So are you telling me that if I start this business, and because God's telling me to start the business,
Right.
start there. Now God is telling me to start this. But you're telling me if I start this business and I don't make this amount of money in this particular year, that it's a sign that I'm probably not that successful. So the whole business idea that God has given me is null and void, the whole thing.
So is that how you started with Ignite? Like, was that super nervous for doing your women's conference?
Absolutely. Ignite started with an entire faith challenge. That year my husband had lost his job, and I was looking to just make some extra money. I started coaching classes outside of Bethany
Mm-hmm.
and figured, okay, you know what? People have been saying to me for years, you should do something on your own. But I was a company woman. They got me doing. I can't. I'm too busy. Those
Right.
are all excuses
No
right
time.
there.
Right.
Huh?
You said
Yeah,
there were excuses. Were
they
there
were
excuses you gave yourself or you made
all
for
excuses.
yourself?
They were all excuses I gave myself, all excuses that I gave other people. Oh, I don't have time, girl. Oh, what? When inside the fear was, ain't nobody coming to nothing I have. I'm not nobody special and important. If I were to drill all the way down past those
Mm-hmm.
excuses, I mean, past all the things I told people, that's what I really was afraid of. And so that particular year, the rationale was, you know what? I finished these coaching classes. Why don't I celebrate with a breakfast? I'll just try 50 women. No big
Mm.
deal. I've got 10 women who are going to help me. They're all going to invite 5 women. I've got 7, 8 women from my coaching class. We're going to go right over to Adelphia's breakfast. What is it, like $15 per person? Easy breezy. No big deal. And I literally went to Adelphia's. I signed the contract. And 2 weeks later, as I was praying about something completely different, all I heard God say is, and he brought this event to my mind, which I didn't pray about. God did not tell me to do Ignite. It was just one of these things where I heard him say, psst, it ain't going to be big enough.
Wow.
And I went back to him. I'm like, I don't have money for big enough. Okay, do we understand? First of all, how did you get involved in this? Let's start here.
Right.
Second of all,
$15 a head. What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean? It's 50 women. I got a room for 50 women. And it's the only thing he said. He did not tell me to break the contract. He did not tell me to get a bigger room. He just invited me to be brave and do something bigger on purpose. And I could have stayed small. I could have stayed in that room. I know that I could have gotten 50 women. Because again, I had a foolproof plan.
Right.
It didn't cost me any faith, but to go back and break the contract and then ask for a bigger room meant that I was going to have to guarantee a number that was out of my comfort zone, and then brought up all my fears. And so that's where me and God started to wrestle, like Jacob and the angel. And it was like, okay, wait, God, now I don't have no money. I don't have the finances. He's like, but I'm giving you the faith.
I love that.
I don't have the people. And he would just be quiet. He never said to me, he never said to me before, because I wasn't convinced I was going to break this contract or not. He never said to me, I'm going to bless you. He didn't give me one promise. He just said, it's not going to be big.
It's not big enough.
And I called down to Adelphia's praying that the next room over was booked. And they were like, it's available. It's available. However, for you to get this room, you're going to have to put down a sizable deposit, which I didn't barely have. I would have had to clean out the bank account, my little bank account.
Right.
And you're going to need to guarantee 150, 200 women. And I want to tell you from 50. And I want to tell you the fear of that. In a time in my life where I could not afford to lose $1.
Right.
And I had never done this on my own before. And this is part of the struggle too. It's not knowing who you really are and what you carry.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. I love that.
When we were at Ignite last year and I was preaching the message about the grasshopper, that message was personal for me because what happens is this: the grasshopper mentality never shows up until you're faced with the giant.
This is my favorite.
Your deficits in your life do not become a talking point until destiny shows up.
Yes.
And the moment something big, and God puts something big in front of you, all of a sudden your weaknesses, your insignificance, your lack, your deficits, money you don't have, everything now becomes giant size.
Right.
Because now you're like, oh my God, you're comparing your deficits to what God is calling you to. And that's the real fear.
Yes.
That's where the challenge comes. And I'm going to tell you something. God did not speak to me until I took the risk, went back down to Adelphia's. And I'm going to tell you, I spent a long time. It did not happen on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was weeks. Like I was in hoping someone would book that room. And I said, I think God is calling me to have a bigger room. And I went, and I
Right.
remember crying and shaking, and I signed a new contract, and I started crying when I walked out the building. And that's when God said, now watch me exceed your expectation.
Because you went on faith.
Because I went on faith, and I
Mm.
went in a moment where he says, I want to know, will you be intentional about this moment? You don't have to. You don't have to go into something bigger. You don't have to have the overflow.
Right.
I'll bless you in
Wow.
whatever room you enter.
But it's available. The
But
overflow
it's
is available if you
available.
want it. Come
Exactly.
on. I
Exactly.
love that.
And so when you're faced with destiny, you always have to fight your deficits.
So we should be listening for God to talk to us and say, listen, this is what you have to, and you have to face your fear and take the leap.
You have to face your fear and take the leap. And you have to stop inviting. This is my pledge to myself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to stop inviting the voice of destiny the voice of my deficits to the table.
Oh, I like that.
When it's time to come in, now listen, your deficits are going to show up in the room, because that's what makes the anointing on your life powerful. Because
Yes.
God anoints you broken, he anoints you broke, he anoints you where you've got battle wounds and scars and you're not healed fully and you still got a bad attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Deficits are coming in the room of destiny, but they don't have to have a seat or a voice at the table.
At the table. They could be in the room, but they ain't at the
They,
table.
they are. You need to stop inviting the voice of your deficits to speak at the table.
So how can we make our voice louder than the voice of the deficit? Like, how do
Yes.
we empower
Yep.
ourselves to walk in that other voice?
Yeah. Well, number one, you have to know that your life takes on, I want to say, the product of what you've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is a product of what you've told yourself and what other people have said to you about you.
Right.
Think about it, right? When you tell your child, you're amazing, you're great, you're so smart, you're intelligent, you're wonderful, guess what happens to your life? Your
Right.
life manifests what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
You can only manifest and echo what you've heard.
Right.
And right now, anyone who's listening, I want you to look at your life and say, what is my life echoing? What voices in my life
Mm-hmm.
that I've heard in my past is now manifesting in the present? Well, I can tell you, for me, all those years, the voices I always heard was I wasn't good enough.
Right. Right.
So everything I did, I tried to be better. I tried to be good, or I hid because I believed I was not good enough. And so, number one, you've got to start to address and acknowledge and go below the surface.
Yes.
And say, what voices in my life have I been echoing? You can only echo what you hear. You can only echo. Your life takes on the shape and the sound of what you have been told.
Right.
And so, number one, in order to do that, you've got to break, to allow the voice of destiny to be louder. You got to break the sound barrier.
Ooh, I like that.
You got to break the sound barrier. You've got to break the sound that's creating the barriers in your life. What sound echoes the most in your life? What have you been hearing? What have you been telling yourself for years
I like that
keeps putting up barriers and walls? Because at a certain point, it's not people whose sound we hear the most. It's not the outside voices.
Come on.
It's the inside voice.
It's the self-sabotage.
It's the self-sabotage, right?
We will literally self-sabotage relationships,
yes,
businesses, dreams,
yes,
goals.
yes.
Like you said, I'm not good enough. The voice of fear will hold us down.
Yes. And we will, and we will talk ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the children of Israel did. They canceled an entire generation of blessing over a conversation they had.
Wow.
Think about that. Over a voice. They canceled an entire They canceled an entire generation blessing. They canceled not just for them, not for the spies who left, but every single person who heard the
Right.
conversation. So when you talk defeat, when you live defeated, you are influencing, your voice or your life is influencing the people who are listening to you as well.
Oh, I love that. So,
Woo!
because I always have this thing, and when I wasn't where I wanted to be in life, or
Yes.
even when I felt defeated in myself, I read somewhere where I put a sticky note in the bathroom, and it says, "God, let me see the me that you see,"
Yes.
because He sees
Yes.
me strong and as powerful and
Yes.
blessed, and I just want to walk in what He sees me in. Because
Exactly.
sometimes, like you said, we get a little fearful and we get a little into ourselves, and we don't see ourselves as powerful or even accomplished and those type of things. So yeah, so I just want to be who God wants me to be and see myself
Yes.
that way. So that
Exactly.
goes back to what you were saying about, being fearful on the stage, and who are these people? Are they going to say, "Hey, are they going to get up? Are they going to clap?" or any of that? So,
Exactly. And I think as we go through life,
mhm,
the the misconception is that we won't have doubt or we won't have the voice of doubt.
right.
Doubt and destiny exist in the same space.
I
Whichever
love that.
voice we nurture,
You have to nurture it.
whichever voice we listen
Hmm.
to more is what will manifest. And
Okay.
so I've learned that through time. I'm not perfected in it, but I
Hmm.
know that when I become afraid, or my way of knowing when I'm afraid is when I start to procrastinate.
Oh yes, well. I'm a huge procrastinator, so I wonder, want to tap into me, but I know I
That's
can do
always
these
my
things.
sign.
Okay.
That's always my sign. All of a sudden I was excited, and then all of a sudden, you know how you just like, yeah, I'm just waiting on God. What are you waiting on God for?
Right.
All
We're
of a
waiting
sudden,
for a word. He done gave me the word though.
he didn't give you the word, and you were excited. You talked about it. You started it. This is for people who may be watching. You started writing your book. You're excited about it. You already got the pictures going. You got your book cover. All of a sudden, it
Hmm.
just starts to die down. That's always an indication that something is causing me great fear. And we gotta start tapping into it. What is this new voice that is I'm now starting to listen to and nurture and pay attention, that is creating a barrier? We got to
I
break the
love that.
sound barrier. We have to break the sound barrier. We have to break the sound barrier. And the
We have
way
to break
we
the
do
sound
that,
barrier.
we have to break the sound barrier. We have to break the sound in us that's creating the barrier outside of us. What is the sound? And the way we do that, and this is the
Wow.
counselor hat on me.
Like a force field. This is so good.
This is it. This is it. There is a sound. There is something I'm hearing, something that I'm telling myself. It's something that I may be echoing from what my enemies have said to me, or
Right.
what people in my life are saying and maybe discouraging me in, right?
Hmm.
It's preventing me from listening to the voice of God or following the sound of God. And the only way to do that, the only way to break that sound barrier is I got to make the choice. This
Hmm.
let me tell you something. There's nothing mystical about breaking the sound barrier. You pray all day. You literally have to decide when you're listening to both voices, God
Hmm.
telling you to move and fear saying it's going to be a mess. You literally have to decide in that crossroads moment, I think I'm going to go over here and
It's
listen.
one decision.
It's one decision. There is one decision that's stopping you from destiny.
Come on here now. Oh my
One.
God.
One decision. It's not mystical. It's not super deep. It's not, I'm waiting on sign. There's no more signs.
Because you've seen them all. He already gave them to you.
He's giving it to you. People have come, your sign, whatever the last sign was, that was the sign.
That was the sign. You already
That
seen
was
it.
it.
Yeah.
Whatever the last push was, that was the push. There's no more. And what I've learned about God, and this is the part I don't think I understood growing up, was we grew up Pentecostal and God gonna get you. He gonna get you where you. No, he ain't. He gonna leave me exactly where I am.
Right.
Because let me tell you something. He invites me to more. He
Mhm.
invites me to greater. He gives me the power to choose and to decide.
He gives you access to it.
He gives me access, but he also says you don't have to take it.
Right. And it's
That's
a choice.
It is your choice. It is your choice. And he never forces us to go into something that we don't have a faith for. And when I say that, I don't mean you walk in and you've got all of this feeling of, yes, God. No, faith sometimes is 50-50.
Explain that. Can you explain that?
I am 50-50. Faith is half of me thinks this is going to work. The other half thinks this is a bunch of mess.
Okay.
In the faith journey, there is a level of uncertainty lining the fabric of every
Mhm.
faith journey. I don't know if this is going to work out.
But we're told to have this undescribable faith that, mustard seed and God's going to, but faith, sometimes it is that 50-50 of, I don't know if this is going to work out.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we can be real, come
Right.
on, and
Right.
go below the surface, right? And
Yes.
really talk as real Christians. It's very rare where we're like, I am 100%, because faith exists in the invisible realm.
Oh, you know what I have faith in? I have
Yes,
faith in going to the car dealership.
that's it.
I have faith in buying a house.
Yep.
So it's very profound that you're saying faith when I
Yes.
can have faith in material things that we
Correct.
can physically go anywhere, go get anything right now. But
I
faith
can see it.
in God and the spiritual, in dreams and goals is
Yep.
like, that's where my 50-50 is. And
That's
I'm
right.
glad that this
You
is,
you don't your faith is in the future outcome, right? I'm
yes,
trusting in what I think and what I believe God is going to do.
hmm,
Do I have any evidence
right.
in the physical realm? None. My faith is the evidence.
Yes. Okay.
Faith is the evidence of things hoped for, right? And
Yes.
so faith is my evidence. Faith is the thing that is the down payment, is the guarantee. I don't have anything in the physical realm. I don't know how many people are going to show up. I don't know if
Right.
this is going to be a bust. I know people who have tried events and it didn't work out. And they had
Here's
faith
the fear.
too.
Right. Because they're Christians.
They were Christians.
Why God didn't work it out for them? Lord.
Exactly. And
Yes.
so you see that stuff. It's real. It's
Oh,
real.
absolutely.
And so faith, there's this moment of half of me believes, the other half I'm like, I don't know, God. And if you wait for 100%, you'll be waiting until Jesus comes back.
Rapture.
You gotta
Sober.
go on it. You gotta go in that 50%. God, and this is what I love. God will give us credit.
Come on.
Come on, he will bless us on credit. He
He
will
will.
give us extra credit because I stepped out in that 50%. In
Right.
just
Right.
in that tiny, God, I'm terrified. God, I don't know if it's going to work out, but
Hmm.
God, I'm going.
And he's going to reward you for it.
And he's going to reward you for it. And that's what I talk about with Ignite, where I went down there. I didn't feel confident. I just felt led. I felt like, I think I'm supposed to do this.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I don't have no money, but I'm just going to make a decision that I'm going to try it. I'm terrified. If it
Hmm.
doesn't work, I'm going to be devastated.
As you're signing a contract.
That's right. And I'm signing a contract, and we're in a tough financial spot. We're in a very bad financial spot right now. So there's nothing for me to fall back on. But something is telling me this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm gonna go. And
And
that
you win.
and that's it. And that's all faith is. It's, I'm gonna do it. I don't know the outcome. I just know that God loves me. I've
Hmm.
prayed about this. I believe my heart is pure. I believe that I have good intentions, and I believe that God is for me. And that's what you can be confident in.
So how if you feel like your dream has passed, if you feel like you've missed the window,
Hmm.
how can
That's
we operate in going back to okay, God hasn't left his promises. His promises are still here with me. How can I continue on if we had the promise in our 20s or in our 30s and now we're a
Great
little
question.
later in life?
Yeah, and I mean that is such a great question, because there's so many people out here that feel like I've missed the window. It's too late for me. Well, we go
Right.
back right to that story of the children of Israel.
Hmm.
You fast forward 40 years later, and there were people who missed the window who were still
Yeah.
alive. Caleb, Joshua,
Yep.
they missed the window, and some of us missed the window and it wasn't our fault.
Hello.
Some of us missed the window because we had children. Some of
Right.
us missed the window because we went through a divorce and it flatlined us. Some of
Hmm.
us missed the window because we lost a job and it took us 10 years. Some of us missed the window because we had to become a caretaker for our spouse or
Right.
someone in our family. And it's like, I was right there, right on the edge. And
Hmm.
what I love about this is that in that time, there was nothing lost for Caleb and Joshua.
Nothing.
Caleb said, I am just as strong today. He was 80 years
80
old.
years.
I am just as strong today. And what that tells me is that God has already mapped out
Hmm.
my life, and it includes the delays.
Hello. Come on.
And so there is no missing a window, right? That because
Right.
at the end of the day, he already knew that I was going to miss that window, even if it was my fault. And he added it into his plan.
It's
Woo!
still here.
He
He ran it
added
back
in
on
my
us.
mistakes. Yes. He added in my faults. He added in my fear, the years that fear took away from me. He
Yeah.
added in the years procrastination put me on the back burner. And he still, when he somewhere down the line, he redeemed the time for me without me knowing it.
Yes. The years that the locust, right?
Yes, the years that he doesn't make me go back and start all over again.
Right.
Listen, I'm getting excited about that myself. It's like in his love, he's like, I'm calling her to it. I'm giving her the opportunity today. But
Hmm.
there's also a provision in my plan.
Yes. The future. He already has it mapped out.
He already has it mapped out. So
Something amazing. Go ahead.
if you want to go back, what I love is you pray and say, God, this time around, I'm going all the way.
Yes.
All the way. All the way. And so he will redeem that time.
Hmm.
He will strengthen you like he did Sarah.
Yes.
Give you strength to conceive. Come on.
Yes.
That's it.
Amazing. There really is no time with God. I always think about the lady who in Wakanda, who she always had that the older lady, and she always wanted to be an actress, and she was 90 and her dream did come true. And I
Yes.
always think, man, God's timing is amazing. He did not let her dream die, and she continued on, and she was in a few movies even in her 80s. So I always feel like, God's timing is perfect.
Exactly. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel perfect when you're in the delay.
Well, yeah, that too.
It doesn't feel perfect. It feels like I missed it. And the enemy will tell you you're too
Hmm.
late.
Right. And put that doubt in that, oh, your time has passed. Oh, nobody wants to hear this from you, or nobody is going to do your business because there's 1,000 other people in the local neighborhood who sell this, or whatever your dream is or your goals are. Like, he'll
Exactly.
really discourage
He
and
will.
put the fear in you. Yeah.
Exactly. Like no one's doing this anymore. This was an idea. It's you should and heaven forbid you go back and talk to friends about this
Hello.
idea you had 15 years ago.
Right.
They're like, oh, no one's really doing that anymore.
Yeah.
It's so saturated now. You don't want to do that now. Think of something. Listen, they will talk you right out of it.
Right out of dreams. And yeah.
That
And
God
it's
has
even,
given
yeah,
to you.
that God has given to you. So how do you talk to those friends though? Do you talk to those friends, or do you kind of like, I don't want to say distance yourself, but don't talk about your goals and your dreams to those specific friends?
unfortunately, you don't know that that's what's going to come out of them until you talk to them.
Right.
It's like a Joseph moment. You don't know they're going to throw you in the pit till you tell them about the dream, right?
Some friends are Debbie Downers, and they're like,
They
dream killers.
They are. And if
They're
you already
pessimistic,
know
right?
that about them,
Yeah.
then you obviously have to audit your dream or
Right.
audit your relationships. And you have to entrust that to people who have the capacity to see you differently.
Okay.
But if you get into a conversation with someone, and I have, where people are like, oh, it's tough out here. They're not doing this for preachers. Oh, I can't really, everybody's trying to do a conference, and you're trying to get over there. Well, yeah, that's a lot of money. You really, have you thought about downsizing? And you just, the thing you have to remember is, what did God show me?
Right.
The vision he showed me is something. What did he originally show me doing?
I love that.
How do I see this thing coming to pass? And yes, this is what they may say. And I can't, if I had a nickel for everyone that told me I'm doing too much with Ignite, it's too much. As you got this. Well, have you thought about having less classes, and I would listen, and I would say, well, maybe they're right. Maybe it's too much. And, it's a lot.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah. And it's some of it is part of constructive criticism, and it's not negative, but then you go back to, what did God show me?
Right. Because it's not their dream.
It's not their. Come on, say it.
Hello. It's not their dream, people.
God didn't show it to them. He showed it to you. You're communicating the best you know how to do. But no matter how well you explain this, you're never going to be able to give them a full picture of what's imprinted on your soul and in your heart.
Ooh, that's good.
You're never going to be able to communicate that well.
Right.
And so stop trying. Stop trying to explain what you see. He didn't show it to them on purpose. He showed it to you.
Right. And it's up to you to communicate and be effective in that.
And it's up to you to implement it.
Yes.
And some people aren't going to get it. And others are like, I see it. Yes, let's get it. Those are the ones. Others are like, I don't really see. Oh, you're trying to go back to school to be a lawyer. I never saw you in that. He didn't show it to you.
He didn't show it to you. Esquire over here. Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't show it to you. He showed it to me, though.
So what do you do? Like, sometimes there are parents who are like that and say, like, the kids are dreaming so big and they have all of these dreams. So how do you communicate with their parent about that type of thing, where you have all of these big dreams and you want to, go far, but your parent is kind of like, I don't see that for you. You've never really been that type of student or person.
Yeah. And those are real conversations,
Right.
And so I think, again, it goes right back to that same, if you're a parent and you're watching this, right? The reality is, the Lord has lended you this child. You don't know their destiny. Only God knows it. And guess what? God didn't show it to you.
He did not.
He did not.
Asked you to birth them.
He asked me to birth. He showed me things about you. I know things about you because I raised you, but I don't know your end. Let's just, as a mother, we don't know the end. We don't know their end. So if I don't know your end, how can I tell you? How can I truly say what's going to be in your future and what's not? I don't know that.
That's good.
My only prayer is, Lord, whatever you have called her to do, this is me talking about my daughter, whatever you have called her to do, let every step she takes today lead her to where I don't know what she's supposed to do. People, she may be a preacher. I don't know that. God didn't show it to me. He didn't tell me that. He didn't tell me, and I'm not going to tell her, oh, I see you preaching. I didn't see that.
Oh, what about people who do that, though?
They do it all the time. They do.
Hello. They're like, oh, your son's a preacher. Your son's a deacon. Let's ordain them because, they're in their 20s, and let's try to navigate the system for them. Not the system, but,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And we don't know that. And so the way you ask is, what is it that you want to do? And some of it, and especially with these cute babies today, they be a little I want to be an Instagram influencer and I want to
Right.
have 1 million. And our immediate response is, girl, listen,
Right.
that's unrealistic. And the truth of the matter is you may know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember a time when my daughter came to me, I wish I want to be on Instagram and I want to be YouTube famous. Okay. I mean, there are people that are out there do it, but do you know the type of work behind the scenes that they have to do
Right.
to be YouTube famous? Have you
Yeah.
studied it? Have you researched it? It's a lot of work. Like you don't
Right.
just post something and all of a sudden,
Mhm.
do you have the emotional stamina when someone, to go through the years when no one's liking your posts?
Yeah.
See, we
When
got to
there's no
guide our
likes.
kids that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you
Yes.
for coming. I just wanted to do you have some parting advice for people who are, looking and trying to figure out what their goals are if they have maybe 5? What if they have I want to write a book, I want to start a business, I want to do this, I want to do that. How do you prioritize
Yep.
what to do?
Yep. And so this is what I do in my coaching sessions when
Mhm.
I'm doing that. I have them write down in a list, what do you want?
Mhm.
If you were to time shift into the next year, where are you this time next year if
Right.
everything were to go exactly the way you wanted it to go? Oh,
Mhm.
well, I got my business, I got my so and so, I got my this, I got my that. Okay. Now, let's write it all down. So you
Mhm.
put down everything you'd love to see accomplished in a year, maybe 3 years, right? And
Okay.
then out of that list, let's say there's 5 of them. Circle the 2 or 3 that if God said to you, you can't do all 5, but I'm going to allow you to do 2 of them.
Ooh, that's good.
Which 2 would you say, I cannot leave this earth without doing these 2? See,
I love
there's
that.
always some signal. There's something in us that burns a little brighter than the
Right.
other 3 or 4. And we say, God, if I died and didn't get a chance to do this, this, or this, right?
Mhm.
That's how you start to put that in order. So it's like,
Okay.
I really want to write this book. Like, I feel like my story is just supposed to bless somebody. Like, I can't leave this earth without somebody knowing this story. Put that number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, I want to
Mhm.
have my business going. Okay, put that as number 2, right? So you look at that. What can I not live without? What can I go through life? And if God says I can't let you do all 5, but you can pick 2, what you're going to pick are the 2 that probably keep you up at night, that burn your passion the brightest,
Yeah.
and may make you cry and weep. And so that's how you start to prioritize. And once you start to prioritize, what you may find is you can put them together all in
Mm.
one. So, hey, I got a book called, Beyond the Surface. Well, now I just started an LLC called Beyond the Surface.
Oh, and then
Right? And underneath that, I already got my book, and here's
mhm.
what Beyond the Surface is going to offer people. And you might be able to find the correlation that one gives birth to the other, that gives birth to the other. Then you have creatives, they've got 101 different ideas. All of them are different.
Right.
That I would say the exact same thing. If you were only left, let's say you have 25 dreams, but you could only do 5, and God says, there's only 5 I'm going to let you do. Which are the 5 that you know for a fact, I
For a
cannot
fact.
leave this earth?
Right.
Cannot. I cannot leave this earth without doing these 5. I will not feel satisfied. Those are what you start. And no, you don't start them all at once.
Okay.
You do not start
Could
them all
be
at once.
overwhelming.
That's right. You do not, because this is where you see dreamers get disillusioned, because when you see the vision, you see the end of the vision,
Right.
right? You
Yes.
see yourself on stage with thousands, you see the millions in the bank account, but right now you got $50.
Reality. $50 in faith.
You got $50 in faith. Right now you got $50.
Right.
And right now, no one is subscribing, right?
Right.
So you have to start. You got to start little. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. You have to start, think big, start small.
Yes. Think
Think
big, start
big,
small.
start small. And if
Gotcha.
God and you can't lose that way, because if God starts to increase you, you'll see it
Mhm.
start leaping with how your season is going. But start small. When I started, I did jump to the next room, but I remember starting the way I started when God started to really unfold the vision. I saw multi days.
Right.
I saw workshops, 4 and 5 and 6 types of different workshops, and all on different levels, and women in
Mhm.
business, women in profession. But you know what I started? I started with a breakfast
With the breakfast.
in one room for
Wow.
several years. And then once I graduated, I did a day and a half.
That's progression, though. That is
Right?
progression.
You remember, right? I
Yes, I
started a
do.
day and a half.
Yep.
We came in Friday, we was gone by Saturday.
Going by Saturday, home for church
Right?
Sunday.
We had 4 workshops going on. That's about
Yep.
it, and we did some keynotes. I
Mhm.
I I didn't fly in speakers right away.
Right.
I took years to do that. So God, that's how God did me. That's how I did it. I started small, but every year I kept my sight on. I see us at a convention center.
Yeah.
I see us touring the country.
Right.
I see us going to multi-states, but right now we in Jersey.
Yes. But
Next year
you
we
but
might.
but you've seen it though. Your
I've
vision. You've
seen it.
seen the end game.
Exactly. If you think about it, we started in Jersey, we went to
Mhm.
Pennsylvania, we went to
Yep.
Delaware, we're now in Baltimore.
We're in Baltimore.
And eventually there's going to come an acceleration where there will be, oh, we're in Florida, we're in, but I've got to take it step by step and don't allow anybody to move me faster than I need to move.
Right.
Don't feel
That's
the
important.
pressure. That's right.
Mhm.
You look online, other people may be doing something that you're not there yet. Don't feel the pressure to rush ahead and jump into something that you may not be ready for. I had many people say to me,
That's
"When are
good.
you bringing it to Charlotte? When are you? We're supposed to." I believe that.
Mhm.
I believe that, but not right now.
But not right now. So you
Not
don't
right
succumb
now.
to the pressures of others
That's right.
because they don't know what your destiny is and what your dreams and what God had told you.
Exactly. And it's about timing. And if
Yes.
you step into the right thing at the wrong time, you will fail in something you were supposed to succeed in.
Wow. Wow.
I will say that again. If you step into
Hello.
the right thing at the wrong time, you will fail in something you were
You were
destined to
to
succeed in.
succeed in. That's good.
You will believe that it wasn't God when it really wasn't the right time.
Right. Because God's timing is everything.
God's timing is everything. God's timing is everything. And so you got to balance yourself when
Mhm.
you're looking at how to start and where to go and what to take the next leap. That's where prayer comes in. That's where,
Yes.
Lord, lead and guide me. That's where talking to other mentors, wisdom people, people who got your back. Should I take this next leap? Should I
Right.
take this next step? I'm scared. I feel led to do that. Sometimes it ain't nobody to talk to. Sometimes you just got to go on 50-50 faith.
Going 50-50. Oh, this has been so wonderful, Reverend Nikki. I appreciate you coming on here.
I
I
appreciate
appreciate your wisdom. You guys have gotten valuable. People pay
it.
for
Oh,
what she has imparted into us. She's a life coach. She is a professional counselor. Does anybody have any questions for Reverend Nikki in the comments? If you do, can you just post them and we'll ask the questions here. Oh, there's a question. Do you believe that God will bring things full circle until you conquer your fear and the giant?
yeah. And I'm not certain what they mean by full circle. But what I do believe is that what I love about God is
Mhm.
God is patient and
Yes.
He is
Yes.
kind.
Yes.
He doesn't cancel me out because of my fear. Woo!
I love that.
Oh my gosh. It
Yes.
makes me cry. Like when I think about the loving kindness of God and
Mhm.
how He waited for me.
Wow.
He waited for me because He knew what He put in me and because He made a promise to Himself about you.
Hello.
This ain't about you. This is what I
Right.
told myself I was going, and I can't lie to myself.
Cannot. This
And
is good.
that's the guarantee. It's not I'm so great. I'm so good. I'm so gifted.
Right.
God made a vow and a promise. I swore to myself I would bless you.
Wow. That's good.
And that's
That's
it
so
right
good.
there. So I don't know if that's what she means by full circle, but what I do
Mhm.
know is that God will wait for you. He will not force me. He will not
Right.
make me, but he will wait for me. And he will wait. He's like, I got plenty of time. Now, you, on the
Yeah.
other hand, don't have a lot of time.
But you should move.
You should
You
move.
have to
But
move.
here's the reality. When your time is over, it's over. He
Mhm.
doesn't always extend the time like he did Hezekiah.
Right.
Hezekiah got sick. He said, all right, I'm gonna give you some extra years. God don't do that to everybody. God's like,
Yeah.
here is your birth, here's your death. In between, you could do whatever it is you want to do in that time.
Yeah.
I invite you to utilize the gifts of greatness I put in you. I invite you to seek me out and walk into my destiny. You don't have to. And you don't have to do it when you sense me calling you. However,
Mhm.
if you choose to do it at 75 and I decided to take you home at 77,
Right.
your time is your time.
Your time is your time. We do have a question that says, how do you know when it's time for you to move?
So here's how I judge it.
Mhm.
One, I start to, because I tell people I don't get some people get the God told me.
Mhm.
That's not what I get.
Like
I
some
don't get
people have like direct contact.
They
I heard the
do,
Lord.
they do. I heard God tell me, or they had a dream. I don't get
Mhm.
it that way. I'll get a desire or an idea,
Mhm.
or I'll feel led. And every time I feel led to do something, I normally get scared. I don't know, Lord.
Yeah.
Hold on, Jesus. Now, what you trying to? Then I could be perfectionist. I need instructions. Now, Lord, tell me. And I already know He ain't gonna tell me nothing. He ain't
Right.
telling me
Right.
nothing. He ain't giving me no steps, no instructions. I just
Yeah.
get the idea.
And he gives
How
you a deep desire.
He gives me a deep desire. How I know it's time is, I'll give you a great example. One night of empowerment that we started, which is our
Mhm.
one night. I come back to Jersey. I do a worship service. We just did one in February. And I started planning it in 2023, or thinking about doing a second one in 2023. I started thinking about doing a second one. And in my mind, I knew it was time because I could not see the year ending without me doing it.
Wow.
There was just this feeling of, I got to do it now. Like,
Right. Urgency.
yeah, because he wasn't saying, yes, move my daughter. I wasn't getting
Right.
that. And I was asking, like, Lord, can you please just tell me? He's like, nope.
Mhm.
And that's how he does me. So
Okay.
I get that sense of, I have to do it. And then if you
Okay.
don't have that sense of, I have to do it, sometimes your prayer can be, Lord, I'm going to move forward in this. And if it's not your will, close the door. And trust me, woo,
He will.
God knows how to close a door, honey.
He'll shut that door on
He
you.
knows how to shut that door. And so sometimes your prayer is, Lord, I feel led
Mhm.
to start a business, but God, I don't know if it's the right time, but I'm going to start moving forward on it. And if it is
Yeah.
not you, and because God loves you, you're his child, he is either going to put a stop in place.
Right.
Because you prayed that prayer, you'll know, well, I did pray and ask God, and pray again, because sometimes
Mhm.
the enemy shows up,
Right.
gives you discouragement. But I'm talking big barriers to where it feels like, okay, it's not going to happen. Great
Mhm.
example. I tried to get into the Baltimore Convention Center in 2023.
Wow.
I started in 2022, and I
Mhm.
prayed and said, Lord, I feel like I should be going there. I don't even know how I have the faith to do it. I don't feel like I have the numbers yet, but I feel
Yeah.
like, but so let me just see. So that's always my first step. I go and I get educated so I don't let my fear come up with reasons why I can't do it. Let
Reasons
me
of doubt.
see how much
Yeah.
it costs.
Right.
Let me call and see if it's possible. Let me see if they have a room that can fit our size. And found out they had everything. He said, no problem. I think it's going to be great. I will
Mhm.
send you something in a couple weeks. All of a sudden, he disappeared. And when he came back, he said he had COVID. This was 2022. I wanted
Okay.
to have, I wanted to be at the Baltimore Convention Center last year.
Okay.
And 2022, he says, I'm sorry, I had COVID and I went out. And when I came back, somebody else took your date and there's no more dates available.
Oh,
that's how I knew. But I had
right.
prayed.
Right.
And I had a sense of peace because I had said, Lord, I feel led to go here. But if it's not you, don't open the door.
Right. And it was not open.
It was not open.
Closed.
And it was closed. And I didn't try to bang on it. I didn't try to
Right.
say, well, let me see if we can do it in September. We're not doing it in September.
Right. November.
I'm not going to force it. I prayed that prayer and God answered my prayer. So
because there's a reason he shuts the door.
There's a reason he shuts the door. We were not ready in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried again. I didn't allow that to discourage me. So last year, same time, I reached back out and said, hey, I'm coming to knock on the door again. And God, if it's not you, close the door again. And this time he did not.
I love that. I love that. Do you have time for one more question?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, we have one that says, how do I deal with the vision and ideas that God gives me when I'm an overthinker? Is that fear?
Ooh, read that question again.
How do I deal with the vision and ideas that God gives me when I'm an overthinker? Is that fear?
So that sounds like she gets stuck in her head, or he gets stuck in their head and they overthink it. Well, number one, if you already know you're an overthinker, you're already halfway delivered.
Acceptance.
There you go. Right. Am I overthinking this? What do you do that gets you stuck in your head? Right? Oftentimes when we're overthinkers, we start to create assumptions and scenarios that have not happened yet.
Yeah.
That's what getting stuck in your head is. You get stuck because you come up, you foresee problems that have not happened yet. You foresee problems that could happen. You foresee obstacles. You come up with, well, how am I going to? You need all the answers because you're a perfectionist. You need all the answers and all the steps in the beginning. So you're overthinking, well, how am I going to do it? Oh, well, he wants me to do A, B, C, and D. I think he wants me to do A, B, C, D. But where would I do it? I don't know where I would go. I don't know how much money I'm going to have. Well, who's going to help me? Who's going to? And because we can't answer those, we start to shrink. We drown ourselves in all of these questions versus stopping to say, what is step one?
Right.
How do we eat an elephant?
Like one bite at a time.
One bite at a time. I just need you to focus on one step. What is the first step? I go back to the Baltimore Convention thing. What was the first step? I had 100 questions. Well, will my team come? It's in Baltimore. Will people want to come? How much is that? It's a convention center. How much money do we have? Where would I get the money? How many classes would I run? Those classes are so much bigger. I don't have all the people. Okay, before we do all that, step one is what? Let me call.
Right.
Let me just call.
Yes.
Let me talk to somebody and see if it's an even possibility for me to get there. So sometimes you just got to start with, let me call the college to get the catalog and see if the program that I'm interested in is a good program for me.
Right. Let's get the information first.
Just get the information first. Start right there. Step one. Just one step. Just take one step, sis. One step. And
take one step.
Just take one step. Because I'm telling you, what's going to happen is God meets you in the one step.
Yes.
And then he'll say, now take the next one. And you're asking, well, what's the next step? Take the next step. I don't know what the next step is.
And sometimes you feel like you're okay. I'm gonna take the next step. I'm in power now. Let me go. Let me keep going.
Yes, that is actually exactly normally what happens. The moment you take one step, you're like, okay, I got the catalog. You feel good about yourself. Oh, they do have a program for me. Then you take the next step. You call somebody, and even if you don't get anyone, keep calling. You get somebody on the phone and it's like, oh yeah, we'd love to have you, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know if they can afford it. Well, we have financial aid. Oh,
okay. All right. It's another
find out if you qualify. And the next thing you know, you're back in school.
Yeah.
Because all you did was take one step at a time. And I don't forecast the 7 different problems that could possibly come. I'm going to face each problem one by one, me and God together. Because if
Because some
God
of
has
those problems don't
yes,
come.
that's right. Say
That's
that
and
again.
I think that's my thing sometimes with myself. Like I'll have a list of things that, oh what if, oh what if, oh what if, and a lot of those what ifs aren't even an issue. A lot
Correct.
of them, I made the what ifs an issue
That
when
is
they're
good.
not even part of the steps.
That is good. Say that again. You got to say that again.
I was gonna I make the what ifs a part of the issue or part of the solution when they're not.
Exactly.
They're not even part of the steps. My steps are somewhere different where
That's
I
so
have
good.
1,000 what ifs over here, and
That is
God has
so
like
good.
10 steps. Yeah.
That is so good. So we add extra steps
Yes.
that are not even supposed to be there because there are problems I'm probably not even going to face. Some problems you will, but you don't know
Yes.
that yet.
Yeah. Someone
My
says stop
girl,
forecasting.
yes, and my girlfriend tried. You're not your girlfriend.
And you hate to say that, but I'm not you and you're not me. So God has different steps ordered for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you for
Thank you.
having
Thank you
me.
so much for empowering us with your wisdom and your knowledge and giving us understanding of our visions and our steps and how to be effective in what our goals are in managing that and doing and building God's kingdom and what we're supposed to do.
Well, listen, I'm grateful you have this platform. I am excited for the guests you're going to have, the impact they're going to make in your community, the women in your life, and women you have not met yet.
Come on.
Women that are waiting for you. They've been waiting on you for 10 years and they're still there in that path. And
Wow.
God has not canceled out what you were supposed to do. And
Thank you.
I'm just so godly excited and proud of you and what God is going to do in your life and all the wisdom. You're coming in at the right time. So I know you say,
Mhm.
I waited and progressed, but you have more wisdom now today.
That's true.
You've got more insight,
Yeah.
more vision. Your energy is different than it was
Mhm.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
This is God.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is God.
And if you guys want to hear more of Reverend Nikki Walker Brown, she will be at Ignite.
Ignite.
So you want to plug Ignite?
Yes, it is November the 14th through the 16th at the Baltimore Convention Center. We're
Yes.
coming into our 11th year.
Yes.
Our keynote speakers are Sophia Ruffin,
Hmm.
Dr. Jasmine Skerlark, myself,
Amazing.
Yvonne
Amazing.
Hewart, and 23 workshop speakers and coaches and leaders and influencers that are going to empower us in our business, our ministry, our finances, our relationships, every single aspect of your life that
Yes.
needs momentum, that needs to be ignited. And you can go right on our website, www.ignitesummit.org. We have an
Hmm.
early bird registration that is going on right now.
Yes.
We have a Teen Girls Summit.
Yes.
We are our third
Amazing.
year. Yes. Our third year, we started 12 years old and up to about 17. This will be our third year doing it. We have specialized classes just for
Just for
them.
teens.
We
Yes.
also started an under 30 group for our young creatives, our young women who
Yes.
need a safe space to come, to grow, to learn, to
Right.
get
To
connected,
mature.
to
Hmm.
mature. They're going to have their classes and workshops at Ignite. They actually have a Bible study, which they have once a month at
Hmm.
Ignite. They meet virtually so that by the time they get to Ignite, they're connected and
Yes.
engaged. And so I believe this is the year and the season where God wants to build momentum in every area of our life. Do it
Momentum, y'all.
afraid.
That's the theme.
That's the thing.
Momentum. So you
Do
can
it
go
afraid.
on Ignite website and sign up for these classes for the 30 and under that meet virtually
That is
online.
correct.
And they have couples classes that meet.
Yep. They have it's called Sisters Connect.
Hmm.
And if you want to register for Ignite, if you're under 30 or you have a young teen, you bring your granddaughters, your nieces, your
Yes.
neighbors,
Yes.
your daughters, 12 to 17, they're going to have their own workshops at Ignite. So we'd love to have you. We're open right now for vendors. If you want to be a vendor,
Hmm.
this is a community that will buy up your stuff. So we're excited. We're open for vendors as well. And listen, girl, we're gonna have this year, our evening attire is feathers, furs, and pearls.
Can't wait. I might try to make my boots now.
Come on now.
I'm working on something.
You better do it. Feathers, furs, and pearls is what we
Feathers
doing.
and pearls.
Feathers, furs, and pearls. Let's go.
It's so amazing. Like, it's such a great combination of women. Like, there are women who are just coming to be fed. There are women who come relaxed. There are women who come dressed up. It is such a great array of women who just want to come and get poured into. The one class that really, I have to tell you this, the one class that really touched me was Dr. James and Dr. Candace. Dr. George and Dr. Candace James. So I want y'all to know Reverend Nikki has professionals here teaching these classes. Like, these are very people who are masters at their craft. So she doesn't just have, anybody in here teaching the classes. You will be blessed by professionals. So Dr. George James and his wife taught a class, and the class was about giving yourself permission to.
Yes.
And it was so amazing. He had us in there where he had us forgiving ourselves for not doing stuff within a certain amount of time. Like, you forgive yourself and then give yourself permission to do it.
Yes.
Crying, tears.
Yes.
It was so eye-opening because as women, sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to do anything. Because we're moms, we're wives, we're doing this. And then you kind of, you put yourself on the back burner, like you were saying, with your self-care, and I'm tired, and you just run out of gas. But he really touched me. So I love it. It's my thing. It's where I go to get refreshed and rebuild. And it's just an amazing event. It's my birthday month, so that's where I go. So I already have like a group. I have a group. I have like 30 people.
Let's go.
My goal is 50. You didn't hear that, but my goal is 50, to bring 50 women, because you just have to experience it. It is life-changing. It's life-changing. Even for my friends, like the one time we went to Ignite, and we did, after we left Ignite, we did like dream boards. And she put on her dream board that she wanted to finish nursing school and to be a BSN. And she just did it a few years ago. But it always inspires us to follow our dreams, and that we can do it. And that even though, you're still living life, like, if that thing is yearning in you, you have to bring it out. This is me going to Ignite, still living in fear. But this year, this is my 50-50 of them saying, let's go. We're going to do it. So this is just proof that, that one mustard seed of my faith moved past my fear. So.
Wow, you have no idea how much that touches me to hear that. And, knowing the journey it took for me to get to where it is, and the fight behind the scenes, and to hear that, it's very humbling. It's very, very humbling. So I thank you for sharing that. Our worship team is amazing. I wanted to mention them as well. JP and Stephanie Heath. Oh my gosh.
You guys have to. It's worship, it's classes, it's ministry.
I'm
excited.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Okay, so thank you for coming on. This has been a very powerful episode of Beyond the Surface with our special guest, Reverend Nikki Brown. You guys can follow her on social media at Reverend Nikki Brown. You can also go follow her Ignite site. Oh, there's Jess. She's the one, the nurse who we did the board.
Great for you. Congratulations.
So guys, go follow her on all platforms, social media, Facebook, Instagram. You're all Reverend Nikki Brown on all of them.
Yep.
Yes, and go follow Ignite, and we will look forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you all for tuning in to Beyond the Surface, my first episode. I appreciate you all watching. We did go a little over the time, but I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. And I will be back next Thursday for a live. So thank you all for coming out, and I appreciate you. Thank you all.